that is what this card is designed for. It does inform people, and we're happy to speak to any organization, any local civic club, any business about the types of panhandling. But then we would like to put these in the hands of anyone who would like a card, who would feel like that could really truly help a person who is in need find their way to that local social service agency that can help them. So that's the hope, and we thank you today for the opportunity to share this information with you and to give the community of Biloxi a way forward, and just one piece of the puzzle. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
There's one thing that I hope everyone remembers from this, and that is this. When a visitor comes into our community, they will see people on the street corner asking for money. The bottom line is we have a tapestry of services that are available here in Biloxi, Gulfport, Ocean Springs, D'Iberville. We have a number of social service agencies that provide meals, they provide clothing, they provide prescriptions, they provide a host of services. So what the goal with this card is to make sure we can connect the panhandler or the homeless person with the services that are available. We are not telling anybody not to give money, but what we are saying is sometimes when you give money, you may be contributing to the issue. You may be contributing to the problem. So the best thing that we can advise people to do is make an informed decision when you are approached by someone. Would that not be true? Do you want to expand?
That's exactly right. We certainly want to say that we're not against helping people. We're about helping people in the most useful way possible. And we tell people to follow your conscience, but the card also provides you an alternative to simply giving out cash. It's actually a way to guide people to services that will help them beyond your connection with them. And that's our hope.
Now the card, you will notice, this is not just a Biloxi issue. The card will take you to the Lord is My Help in Ocean Springs. It will also direct you to Seashore Mission on Division Street. It will direct you to Our Lady of Fatima, St. Vincent de Paul, where there's just an array of services available. And then you can go to Loaves and Fishes over on Water Street or to the Salvation Army over in Gulfport. So the services are there. It's not about the money. It's about hooking people up with the services that they need. And it's a level of comfort for John Doe citizen or John Doe visitor to be able to have that card if they choose to use it. So that's what it is. The card has no cash value. They're going to feed you when you go to one of these places. They're going to help you whether you have that card or not.
That's right.
But the big thing is the card helps direct you there. So that's all it is. It's an informed and thoughtful way to deal with the situation when you're approached by someone. We think it's simple. Right now, you can get the cards at the Biloxi Visitor Center. You can get them at the Croc Center. You can get them at
Gulfport Outreach on 22nd Street.
Our goal is to make sure we can have as many restaurants, as many visitor-oriented places along the Gulf Coast to where they have these cards, to where a person can just pick it up off the counter and be able to use it.
And if your church or business wants to have the cards available, we can email you a template, a PDF template, where you can print and distribute them yourself. We don't own the card.
There is no simple answer to this, but this is another tool. Right now it falls in the hands of the police department. The police department is not equipped to deal with people who have addictions. They're not equipped to deal with people who have mental problems, but this card will help possibly direct them in the right place where they need to go. It's a team effort using existing services, and it comes with the experience that the Salvation Army has seen in other places. So with that, we're going to conclude the press conference. We're going to ask anybody if they have any questions, or the two majors will be available for interviews. Police Chief John Miller was held up in a meeting this morning, so he was not able to be here, but he is very familiar with this case and with this issue. Just so you'll know, Mayor Gillich has him tracking the number of contacts his officers have with homeless people or panhandlers. There are about 100 of them a week. Now that takes away from the police department, it takes away from the fire department when there's an emergency medical call, and quite frankly, it's a drain on city resources whenever we have to deal with these issues. We're looking to deal with them in a thoughtful manner that gives people the most information, so as the Salvation Army likes to say, so they can do
The most good.
the most good. That concludes everything. I want to thank y'all for being here. And that's it. Anything else? No. Okay. Good enough.
As you know, it's hurricane season. At some point, you might have to evacuate.
Waiting until a hurricane warning has been issued is not the best time to pick a route. It's time to plan ahead, and that means taking alternate routes north. Everyone cannot evacuate using just Highway 49 north. That's why MDOT has mapped out more than 20 ways to evacuate to the north to get out of the storm's path.
Download the complete hurricane evacuation guide at gomdot.com and plan your way out today.
This is BTV, Biloxi Television.
As you know, it's hurricane season. At some point, you might have to evacuate.
Waiting until a hurricane warning has been issued is not the best time to pick a route. It's time to plan ahead, and that means taking alternate routes north. Everyone cannot evacuate using just Highway 49 north. That's why MDOT has mapped out more than 20 ways to evacuate to the north to get out of the storm's path.
Download the complete hurricane evacuation guide at gomdot.com and plan your way out today.
Hi, my name is Jack Gratwick. I'm the Assistant Project Manager for Hemphill Construction on the Biloxi South contract, and I'm here to give you an update on the progress of our work. We are currently in the final stages of our project and are working on the final punch list. We hope to be done within the next week or two with everything on the project. We would like to thank everybody for cooperating with our construction throughout this process and continue to drive safe around our crews while we finish up. Thank you.
Good morning, Biloxi. I'm Stephen Dunlap with Lane Construction, updating the citizens on the South contract. We've completed the sewer on 4th Street and are laying the sewer on Hoxie north of 4th Street. We will continue to lay the water line on 4th Street as we progress with the sewer on Hoxie. We've also laid the sewer and the water on Maple Street, catching everything up as we head south on Maple. We've laid the 42-inch sewer on Maple up to 3rd Street. Once we've laid all the other utilities on Maple, we will complete the 42-inch trunk line at Howard Avenue. Again, we'd like to thank everyone for your continued patience as we progress. I'm Stephen Dunlap. Thank you for your time.
This is BTV, Biloxi Television. This is BTV, Biloxi Television.
I'm Mayor Fofo Gillage. Welcome to our Biloxi.
The word Biloxi means first people in Native American language. The city that bears the Native American moniker certainly lives up to a people striving to be foremost. The territory of Mississippi experienced 3 waves of European exploration and colonization in its early history. Beginning with the Spanish and Hernando de Soto's trek across the region in the 1540s, the coastal Mississippi that would become Biloxi did not experience permanent European settlement until 1699, when French explorers sailing for King Louis XIV landed on an island in the Mississippi Sound. Pierre Le Moyne Sieur d'Iberville and his brother Jean-Baptiste Le Moyne de Bienville, who were seeking the mouth of the Mississippi River, named it Ship Island. It had a natural deep-water harbor that their ships easily anchored in. When these French explorers landed ashore near present-day Deer Island, just south of Biloxi, they claimed the entire region for France, as the Spanish had not yet established any permanent settlement on the Mississippi coast. The French built Fort Maurepas just across from Biloxi in present-day Ocean Springs to secure their holding, a region where Native Americans such as the Biloxi and Choctaw lived or engaged in trade of the plentiful marine resources. These Europeans secured the Gulf Coast by establishing Biloxi as the first capital of this territory in 1699. Later, the French capital would shift eastward to Mobile in 1702, then finally westward to New Orleans in 1718. The Mississippi Territory became an official part of the new United States in 1798, after a brief revolt of coastal citizens under the Republic of West Florida. Mississippi became a state on December 10, 1817, becoming the 20th state of the new country. On the Mississippi Gulf Coast, a rich ethnic blending created a unique culture different from the planter hegemony that had begun to dominate the hinterland and Mississippi River regions of the state. On the coast and in Biloxi, Spanish, French, English, Irish, African, and Native American peoples exchanged goods through a growing shipbuilding industry. One economic endeavor that early defined Biloxi was the tourist trade that resulted in its growth, so much so that officials charted the city in 1838. As early as the 1840s, the Magnolia Hotel welcomed visitors mostly from New Orleans. The city became a destination of people fleeing the heat of that city and the yellow fever pestilence that threatened the health of the entire Southland. Biloxi was known for its salubrious climate and hospitality services. Many summer homes appeared on the Mississippi Sound shoreline as people spent their summers taking in the Gulf breezes, enjoying fresh seafood and the social events of the coast. With a new lighthouse in 1848 guiding ships to Biloxi, the city grew. In April 1861, the American Civil War opened with a volley of cannon shot from the Confederate States of America on Fort Sumter, South Carolina. The Mississippi coast became embroiled in the 4-year conflict, first because the United States government instituted a naval blockade of all coastal regions of the South, and secondly because Ship Island again became an important harbor. The Union forces planned to launch attacks against Pascagoula, Pass Christian, Biloxi, and ultimately New Orleans from its forces stationed at Ship Island. When the American Civil War ended in 1865, the Mississippi coast and Biloxi did not have the physical damage that other areas of the state endured. The tourist trade recovered quickly as Southerners sought normalcy. The Lewis and Nashville Railroad connected New Orleans and Mobile with Biloxi in 1872. Biloxi again capitalized on its maritime and tourist trade. Biloxi entrepreneurs Lazaro Lopez, William K.M. Ducate, James Maycock, William Garnflow, and F.W. Elmer created the first seafood processing factory in Biloxi in 1881, capitalizing on the abundant oyster beds and shrimp in the Mississippi Sound. Beautiful white-winged Biloxi schooners harvested the bountiful seafood of the Sound. The Biloxi schooner became synonymous with success. Several waves of laborers joined the local citizens in harvesting seafood as the industry expanded to meet the demand for succulent oysters and shrimp. Bohemians or Polish workers from Baltimore, Maryland, familiar with the oyster industry, first manned the labor lines, with Louisiana Cajuns and Croatians soon following. Biloxi African American workers often worked side by side with the other pickers and shuckers, but in some factories they worked on separate lines because of racial prejudices of the times. By the early 1900s, Biloxi was known as the seafood capital of the world. Through the decades, the industry ebbed and flowed with the economy. By the 1970s, Vietnamese immigrants arrived in Biloxi from their war-torn land. Working in the seafood factories and building boats, the Vietnamese became a part of the cultural fabric of the city. Today, many events highlight all of the immigrants' contributions to Biloxi venues, food, and entertainment. A visitor can enjoy good Cajun gumbo, witness a Vietnamese New Year celebration, eat pucheradas, or fried plantains with cream, or attend a fête au dos, all part of the rich offerings of Biloxi. As the seafood industry developed throughout the 20th century, so did the shipbuilding aspect of the seafood trade. Biloxi schooners once graced the waters, while family names such as Kovacevic, Ross, and Fountain became famous with the art of boat building. As technology overcame sail power, Biloxi luggers with their low riding profile and gasoline engines soon replaced the schooner. Along with new technologies in shipbuilding, Biloxi also witnessed the growth of Keesler Air Force Base in early 1941. On donated land from the city, the United States Army created a technical training school named after Second Lieutenant Samuel R. Keesler, Jr., a Mississippian killed in World War I. This facility has grown into one of the largest training bases in the United States, particularly in its state-of-the-art medical facilities. It also is home to the Hurricane Hunters, a squadron that flies into the storms to gauge strength and development. In 1992, dockside gambling became legal in Biloxi. Gambling was historically a part of the coastal history, as the Isle Capri in the early 20th century symbolized. In the 1990s, gambling establishments first located on small paddle wheel riverboat-type watercraft, but today the industry displays modern, multi-storied buildings with all of the amenities. As a result of the gambling industry, Biloxi has experienced a renaissance of development. Even after Hurricane Katrina struck the Mississippi coast in 2005 and destroyed much of the gambling establishments, progress has been phenomenal. The Biloxi Public School District has invested $80 million in new schools and upgrades in the past 15 years. The Washington Post highlighted the outstanding curriculum offered by the school district when it declared that Biloxi High School was a top school in preparing students for college. The rebuilding effort after Hurricane Katrina also witnessed the construction of a new Biloxi Visitor Center, the MGM Stadium where the Biloxi Shuckers play baseball along with collegiate teams, a new Biloxi Public Library, and numerous hotels welcoming guests to Biloxi. Historic preservation continues to be important as developers renovated the White House Hotel, once an establishment that welcomed visitors in the early 20th century into a modern destination point. 6 million visitors come to Biloxi annually since Hurricane Katrina to partake of its amenities. Along Highway 90, new seafood restaurants serve local seafood and highlight the cuisine of the coast. As the 21st century unfolds, Biloxi is primed for further development while retaining its rich history and cultural attractions. Shrimp boats bring in their catch, just as they did over 100 years ago. The blessing of the fleet still occurs every June, and po' boys are still recognized as one of the favorite foods of the city. Now explore the coast and see what Biloxi has to offer. This program is made possible in part by the Mississippi Humanities Council through grants from the Mississippi Development Authority and the National Endowment for the Humanities. Additional funding was provided by the Biloxi Chamber of Commerce, a division of the Mississippi Gulf Coast Chamber of Commerce.